We're officially halfway through the year. We do these quarterly reset episodes pretty much every single quarter, but Q3 is always really exciting for us because it's the midway point through the year. So you have both the data from how the beginning of the year went and enough time left in the year to make changes and end the year really well. So between the two of us, a lot has happened in Q2. So let's get to recapping the quarter. And then we're also going to chat a little bit about how to reset and realign your goals for the remainder of the year.
Q2 or like ending Q2 is the best time to do a reset because it is halfway through the year. And I know for me, New Year's feels so long ago. I'm like,
It does.
what goals did I even set for the new
I
year,
don't
for the
know.
year 2026? Like, I don't remember. And kind of like going through outlining this episode, I didn't really take the time to go back to my New Year's goals, like going all the way back to the beginning of Q1, because that actually does seem like so long ago. And I do think that that's a good reminder that sometimes setting quarterly goals is more impactful than setting those annual goals because you change so much as a person and your life plans change so much and it's hard to kind of like vision out what you want an entire year to look like. But I know for me, I do like these kind of quarterly resets because it can make you just zoom in a little bit to actually 3 months and be like, what did I accomplish in the last 3 months? And then what are my intentions for the next 3 months?
We've talked too about how sometimes like setting goals on such a long time horizon of like my goals for the entire year or even for the entire quarter can be really overwhelming. And sometimes it's easier to break it down by a month. And so I think, yeah, setting like an intention for the quarter is a good way to go about it too. And then to say each month of that quarter, like, what's my goal? Because sometimes if you're like, oh, yeah, I'm gonna, focus on or I'm gonna try to attack this goal for the entire quarter or the entire year, then you give yourself way too much time to actually get it done. So I agree. I also have no clue what goals I set for the beginning of the year. And I don't really think they matter that much anymore. It's more like, okay, yeah, how has the beginning of the year gone? How am I feeling? And what do I want to focus on for the next quarter, which is literally the definition of a reset.
I also think that Q2 is a really hard quarter to kind of like set your intentions for next quarter because it ends at the end of June, which is like midway through summer, where I know for most people, and this is definitely true for me, and we're going to talk about kind of like our Q2 debrief and what happened and what we want to do in Q3, but it is halfway through the summer. So it's like I'm not really necessarily ready to set those kind of like fall lock in goals because I know realistically in the middle of the summer, I'm not going to be focused on those things. But then like going into the fall, when you're talking like end of August, beginning of September, that's not necessarily the beginning of Q4. So it's like
Mhm.
sometimes these goals like don't even work necessarily with, okay, the end of Q2, beginning of Q3. And sometimes you kind of need to make your own quarters, like align them a little bit better with the seasons. I remember last fall we did an episode that was talking about like going into the fall, like setting better goals and productivity going into fall. And we were talking about how studies actually show that fall is a really good productivity season because our brains are wired to like anticipate going back to school. Like that was our first 18 years of life was going back to school in the fall. So our brains are like, okay, now it's time to lock in. Now it's time to be productive and get things done career wise. But I'm not necessarily ready for that yet because it's the end of June. So I don't know. It's just like a weird time.
Either it's like I'm feeling motivated about certain things, but I'm like, I really don't want it to be a lock in season. And at the end of this episode, we're going to share a little like some mindset stuff. So I'm going to skip ahead to one thing on the mindset list just because I think it's like really pertinent to what we're talking about right now. And then we'll get into like the actual outline that we have in the order that we have it. But one thing that I saw when I was researching for this was just this quote that says like some quarters are for planting, some are for harvesting, and some are for resting. And I think sometimes when we hear the idea of doing a quarterly reset or a life reset or whatever, we're like, I have to like get into this super productive energy where I just try to get everything done and that like every single second of my life is so productive and I'm doing all of the things. And I just like, I don't think that's realistic. And I personally am like, I think I'm in a quarter of resting and of, just wanting to like reestablish my routines, which I'll talk about more. But like, it's not that every single quarter has to be this like boom, 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 like let's go and do all these things. And I think Q3 specifically is a really good one for rest and or just for harvesting, like everything that you worked on in Q2. Now you're just letting yourself kind of reap the benefits of the work that you just put in before you, yeah, maybe do a Q4 kind of lock in where you try to finish out the year really productive. But I think summer also, it's just, there's a lot of travel going on. There's just like so many things happening. People, if you live in a place that has all 4 seasons, like you want to enjoy the warm weather, you know? And I think it's just, yeah, typically a quarter, I think people can slow down a little bit if they want to.
Yeah, I really like that mindset of summer for planting, summer for harvesting. This was totally a harvest quarter. And this kind of goes into my Q2 debrief because I haven't talked about this on the podcast yet before. We've been like batching our episodes. If you guys have been listening to the podcast over the last month or so, you might have noticed like we were in studio. We did a huge studio session and batched like 6 or 7 episodes and got those out over the last 2 months, which is so fun and has been so good like for our business. But then sometimes we're a little delayed on our updates. So I actually haven't talked about this yet on the podcast, but Q2, my life literally did a complete 180, like literally complete 180 because I moved, which is so random. Like
So crazy.
so crazy. Never in a million years when I bought my house in October did I think that I would be moving again in May. It's so silly. It's so silly. And if you follow me on social media, I feel like you've gotten like bits and pieces of this, but I don't even think I necessarily like explained where that came from on there, which I probably should. But basically in April, Alex's mom sent us a Zillow listing for a house on acres that literally touches his brother's property. His brother lives like on a bunch of acres too. And that's been Alex's like lifelong dream is to have like a big family compound and live on land and do all of the things. But we always just figured that was either going to be too expensive or like what are the odds that his neighbors sell, or we figured best case scenario we could like buy onto his property like some of his acres. So we just like weren't really thinking about it, and we definitely didn't think that it was going to happen anytime remotely soon. But one of his neighbors did end up selling, and it was this couple in their like mid 60s that wanted to move to Florida. So they weren't trying to get like the absolute best price for it. They wanted to sell it quickly. So they priced it to sell. So she sent me the Zillow listing on Wednesday. Alex was deployed. She was like, Erin, you have to go to the open house because nobody else is here to go do it. So I go to this open house. There's 500 people at the open house. I'm like, what the heck? Like, what are the odds that we even get this? But Alex put in the offer and he got it. And the couple was accepting like letters that people could write to like explain
Mm,
why they want the house. So I think him writing the letter saying like, hey, my brother lives, like he's your neighbor,
mhm.
that probably got them. But yeah, so all of a sudden we were moving and I'm selling my townhouse and that's a whole big thing. But all of that is to say that Q2 did a complete 180 and I haven't been focusing on work. I feel like this is the least career focus that I've been literally since college graduation, which is so crazy. And I've definitely been having a mix of like being anxious about it, but also just trying to let myself enjoy it and like, yeah, reap the benefits of like the growth phases that I've been in for the past couple of years. So it's been interesting, but
It's
maybe
all good things. Yeah, no, it's all good things. It's like a 180, but not like it's just that things have changed to objectively like more. I don't wanna say I guess objectively more exciting things I was gonna say. I think there's obviously I'm sure there's gonna be feelings of like, "Dang, I just made this townhome home. I just, like, settled in here. I just finally finished buying all the furniture," and you mentioned behind closed doors, like, off the record, you're like, "I just put all that money into my closet, and I love my
Yeah.
closet, and now I'm sad to leave my closet," you know? So there's, I'm sure, like, feelings of that too, but it's like, you just bought, like, your forever home that you'll get to make truly your home, like where you will get to plant roots. And yeah, it's like, what are the odds that you end up finding this perfect house that is touching his property and like fulfills that dream and is somewhere that you actually want to be forever? You know what I mean? It's like one of those things that you just have to act and
Yeah, we
like
could not
let
pass it
life,
up.
yeah,
Yep.
let life be like in that messy middle where it's like, okay, this is totally not what we planned, but like we totally can't ignore that, like all the pieces are falling into place perfectly here. We kind of just have to accept the mess to be able to have like, exactly what we want here.
Yeah, so that's been my Q2, but I'm interested to hear yours too because since we've been batching, like I feel like I literally haven't talked to Grace in so long. We were together in April to batch a bunch of episodes and then we haven't been
I know.
podcasting. So I'm like, that's kind of why we wanted to do today's episode too, because I'm like, I need the debrief.
No, it's so funny actually, because well, other also too, I mean, people saw this on your socials, but you also freaking got engaged. And you know what's so funny? And I never said anything to you. Guys, I've said this on the podcast before, but Erin loves to do this thing where we'll hop on to film the podcast and she'll drop like the craziest of lore that like is like in her life. Like she'll be like, yeah, so I'm actually moving like to another state. I'm like, oh, okay, right. Okay. Yeah. Like, just like on a random Wednesday. Right. So I said to her when it came to like her engagement, I was like, just don't drop this as crazy lore. I was like, whenever you get engaged, just don't drop this lore on me on a random Wednesday. And guess what? I found out she got engaged because one of my friends, because obviously like I talk about podcasting and Erin being my co-host. So all my girlfriends now follow Erin on social media and they all love her content. And one of my girlfriends texted me and she was like, oh my gosh, Erin got engaged. I'm so happy for her. And she bought a house. I'm so happy for her. Cause again, I just have friends that are girls. So they're like so happy. I'm like, what? I hadn't been on Instagram that day. I go to Instagram, I see the photos. I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like, so I found out at the same time as all of y'all.
I know, I'm the worst. I
no,
think actually some of my siblings found out over Instagram too. So if that makes you feel
no,
better.
no, I feel like I would be the same way where I would just be like, oh, like I don't want to have to text every single person individually. I'm just going to post it and let people find out when they find out. But there has been a lot of lore dropped in Erin's life in Q2. Um but yeah, again, all good things for you. I feel like my Q2, I feel like I started Q2 off like so like ambitious, being like, I'm gonna do all the things. I did that like, I'm gonna do this like Q2 lock-in experiment thing. And then as y'all probably saw, it just fell off after a couple of weeks. And I don't know if that's like if people are like, you sound like a broken record girl, or if people are like, no, it's so relatable because
So
I just
relatable. Yeah.
I feel like I don't know what it is. I feel like, I mean, well, I do know what it is. I feel like the last like year and a half of my life, which I feel like a broken record saying this, but it is just like the truth of the situation. The last like year and a half of my life has been a lot of ups and downs. And there's been a lot of really positive things and there's been a lot of really challenging things. And my health has been the reoccurring, really challenging thing. And I started Q2 off like really ambitious and really excited to like get myself back into like a good routine. And it just like was not how the month went. Like I ended up like having a really bad endo flare that was just like took me out of routine. And I'm such like a momentum person with my routines that like if I miss like a few days in a row, it's so hard for me to get the momentum back to start up again. But oftentimes my health will take me out for a few days. And then I started like a new form of it's called pelvic floor physical therapy. I feel like it's like so taboo because it's like I don't know, people get like weird about talking about women's health
This
and
is
I'm
for the
just like
girls.
this is a podcast for the girls, okay? And when you have endometriosis, it can cause like pelvic floor dysfunction where your pelvic floor muscles like kind of like tense up or yeah, like tense up when they're not supposed to. And so it started to impact like my mobility. Like I can't like lunge very far down like in workout classes and it's impacted like I'm just gonna say it's impacting my ability to wear like tampons and like things like that. And it's gotten like really bad post surgery. It was getting bad pre surgery, but it's gotten even worse post surgery. And I've like been delaying going to pelvic floor physical therapy because it's so vulnerable. If you look up like the way that they massage a muscle when you go to like pelvic your physical therapy for like a back muscle, they have to massage your hoo-ha muscles, guys. You know what I mean? It's really not like it's not pleasant, but
No.
I feel like I have felt like I need to talk about it more in some fashion. I'm not ready to talk about on my page, but I do feel like other people talking about it has made me feel more comfortable. So, but that's obviously like it's a lot. And now it's like I have to do like daily like stretching and things like just like, little like lunge type of stretches and things like that to help because all your muscles are connected in that area. So like your legs and your hips and your back and etc. So it's just been like, now I have to do like daily, physical therapy, like exercises and stuff. And it's just like a whole new adjustment. And there's emotions that come with that of like grieving, like, okay, great. Now this is what I have to do every day, potentially for the rest of my life. Like this is really exhausting. And then I was traveling and so out of routine that I feel like the quarter, like I'm ending the quarter like quite stressed, to be honest. Like, and that's been kind of the theme, unfortunately, with all of it is that I feel like I've talked on the podcast before about how I've had anxiety for like 13 years now. And my anxiety has gotten a lot worse in Q2. And it's to the point where I'm like going back on anxiety meds because I'm like, I need some time to come up for air and just kind of like let my anxiety go down, get back on a routine. Um, yeah, it's just like it's been, and I don't know, like I know that's like this is like a vulnerable bit of information to share, but I think that there's a lot of people going through stuff like this. And I think that oftentimes I don't want to talk about it because I feel like a broken record of, oh my gosh, like it seems like it's always something with my health, but that is like the truth of the matter. And I know that a lot of other people can relate to that. So yeah, Q2 was not like the perfect quarter for me. And guys, when we're recording this, this will go out after this has already happened. But like literally, we're recording this on a Friday. Friday the 19th was when we're recording this. I have surgery on the 24th. This is going to be my fourth time going under anesthesia in the last like 8 months. This is my second surgery in the last like 7 months. Like I've had it. I've had enough. Okay. I am so over it. Like I'm just like, I'm truly like, and I'm just like, oh my gosh. And on top of it all, it's like, I just got a referral from my primary care physician to an oncologist because the breast lumps they've been monitoring for the last year and a half, there's like, I feel like there's more popping up that I'm feeling, and they could just be cysts. That's what they feel like they are so far. But you know, as someone with anxiety, it's like I'm getting a referral to a oncology surgeon. Like it's just a lot in my head. And I think I was like feeling really defeated for a lot of Q2, unfortunately. But I'm hopeful that, you know, being able to like recognize, like be honest about like, okay, here's how I'm feeling. And like, it's not for me to admit that I'm like, I am struggling with the anxiety. It's not like me waving the white flag, being like, you know, I'm surrendering to anxiety. It's me really facing it and being like, here's the state of affairs. And we need to do something about the state of affairs. And just keep working through it and recognizing what I need in this moment, you know?
Yeah, and I think that that is so relatable because even if it's not like endometriosis that someone's struggling with, I think the overwhelming majority of people struggle with their health in some way. Like, I think our
Yeah.
environment and like the foods that we eat and how stressed everybody is, like, I think that there's just so much that like everybody's going through, or for the most part, everybody's going through something health wise. And I think that it is like, yeah, it's definitely relatable to just say, like, it's okay to look back at the quarter and say that like my health was a focus this quarter. And I started prioritizing not only my time, but also my money going to pelvic floor therapy or
Mhm.
doing the surgery that I've been putting off or going and scheduling my doctor's appointments that I know that I'm behind on and things like that. I think that like a lot of people can definitely relate to that.
Yeah. And like I think that kind of what I was saying before about this mindset of like some seasons are for planting the seeds, some are for harvesting them, and some are for just like enjoying the fruits of your labor. I think that I think it's really good to reset and think about what does it actually look like to take care of my mental health and my anxiety and my needs as a human being on a consistent basis, and how do I establish that routine? Like yes, like exercising, going to Pilates, whatever. Yes, like that's part of, you know, a self-care routine. It's really good for your mental health to move your body, but it's like there are other things too. Like I've realized when I'm in seasons where I'm just like focused so much on work, I completely forget to initiate hanging out with my friends. I see my friends for my routine things. I have a Bible study every Friday morning with a group of my friends, and I'm like, I go to that every Friday, but like I won't see them outside of that because I just like forget to initiate. And so I like have started looking into I think I might do like private pickleball lessons and just kind of like cuz if I'm paying for it, I know I'll show up, or yeah, just trying like new and different things that get me out of the house, I think is really important. And I think a lot of us can benefit from that, you know? It's like when we're kids, we're so I think that I felt more fulfilled sometimes as a kid because I was in a million and one extracurriculars, right? It was like every season I had a new sport or a new after school activity, but it's because my parents signed me up for those things. You know, every year my parents were the ones on top of paying for it and signing me up and making sure I got to and from. And now that's on me. And now I'm like, oh, like this is so much to do. but then I feel less fulfilled because I haven't actually touched grass in a week and a half, or I haven't left my house in 3 days. And it's like, no, this is important. Like I need to sign myself up for my extracurriculars, you know?
Yeah, no, that's such a good thing. I think going into Q3 as well, especially since we said, going into Q3 is the middle of the summer. And for a lot of people, I think that that is a big priority in the summer is like doing more and being more social and being more active and moving your body more and just, yeah, like doing more things out of the house. I know we had an episode at the beginning of this quarter on intentionally filling your calendar for the year. And if this part of the episode is resonating to you, I think definitely go back and listen to that episode because that was a really good one where we kind of like set some of those intentions. But I totally agree with that. Like, and it's not just like m- seeing your friend on a whim because you're both a Bible study together. It's like, how do I make those intentional plans and how do I make that like social aspect of my life more of a priority? Because I know for me too, I think like the social life and like how active I am kind of go hand in hand because a lot of
Mhm.
times when you're doing things with your friend, there is a component of moving your body, whether you're going on a walk after work or you are playing pickleball or you're doing these things where you're not just laying on the couch after work, which is kind of a
Mhm.
habit that I tend to get into if I have too much alone time. So, yeah, I think that that's like a really good intention going into Q3. But with that, let's get into some of our tips for actually resetting for Q3 because that's obviously the title of this episode. And I do think that it's a good thing to do in between quarters is just literally to reset and go into the quarter like setting yourself up for as much success as possible. So the first thing that we want to talk about is doing a physical reset. And we always start these reset episodes with the physical reset piece because it is so important. Like if you're going into Q3 and you're like, I want to set myself up for success, but your space is a mess, like you're really just, it's going to be hard. And one thing that I've been reminded of lately, especially after moving again for the third time in 1 year, really is how important it is to organize your space and like actually give every single thing in your space a home. Like when I'm setting up
Mhm.
my kitchen, okay, if there are things in my kitchen that don't have a place, it is going to be so hard for me to keep my kitchen organized. Or same thing with the cabinets in my bathroom. If all of my products are just like everywhere and they're just thrown in drawers and they're just like laying all over the place, okay, that's not going to be easy for me to keep my space organized and clean and tidy on a day to day. So I think that that's one thing to consider. Like maybe take a weekend going into Q3 and literally just dedicate it to not only picking up your space, but also just giving everything that you own a place in your space.
You guys, I feel like a lot of people who listen to this podcast might also listen to our friend Michaela Alaka. Her brand is like, Break Your Budget, and then she has her podcast, Don't Depend on Daddy. But I was reading her newsletter the other day because she has a Substack, and she's just so like type A organized, and I love like reading
She's also
her
so
stuff.
minimalist.
Yes, she is, and I'm like, I used to think that I was, but then I look around my space and I'm like, I've collected a lot of things, and I will say, like, there's a lot of things that I bought, like, for a specific purpose, like, I bought a drill when I was, like, building furniture, and then you know what I mean? Like, I'm like
Let me
but
just
then I
stop you right there because I stayed at Grace's apartment when we were podcasting in or 2 months ago. You have nothing in your space. Like I stayed in the guest room and I'm looking at the closet in the guest room, which is like also her office, and my office closet is filled to the freaking brim with like all of my office things, all of our extra stuff. Grace's, it was so empty. I go in her guest shower and there's not one product
there's
in there.
nothing.
And she was like,
No.
"Oh, like let me get you my shampoo out of my shower because I literally don't have one extra thing of shampoo in here." I'm like, "What?"
Okay, I feel like it's funny because so in her newsletter, one of the things that she said, it was about how to keep your space organized, and I was like, I need to read this because I just have been feeling like my space is getting cluttered recently with stuff that like it's stuff that I need. Like I'm looking at my kitchen right now and I'm like, it's like my cleaning supplies and my supplements and like whatever, but I just am feeling like I have so much stuff and excess stuff really causes me more anxiety. It makes me feel like there's a clutter. And one thing she said in the newsletter is she was like, surfaces are not storage. And I was like, oh, I needed to hear this because I am the worst with my kitchen island because my kitchen is pretty small. Like I don't have a ton of storage and cabinets in my kitchen in my apartment. So I will put things on my kitchen island and then eventually it like piles up and I'm like, this is ridiculous. You're the opposite. I know
I'm the
that your
opposite.
island,
Not
nothing is on
Nothing
that
can
damn
be on it, and
island.
this is not me saying that I'm type A and organized, it's just, like, that's my one thing, like, kitchen counters and my kitchen island, nothing can be on it, and Alex is the opposite, he thinks that surfaces are storage, so he, like, drops everything there, it's, like, his drop place, and I'm constantly just, like, picking it up because, like, that's not his thing, but, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm
But it's like,
very anti.
I need to get better at it. So I literally had this moment the other day where I was like, I need to go through my space and just organize. Like even like just getting rid of stuff. It's so silly, but I had this like Brewmate water bottle that I was using for the longest time. It has a silicone straw. It was like every speck of dust in the air was getting stuck to the silicone straw. Cause that's just how a silicone straw is. I can't do it. It overstimulated me. I was like, let me get rid of this. Then I got a Hydro Jug. I use my Hydro Jug now because it doesn't have a silicone straw. I love my Hydro Jug. I never use the Brewmate. Why is the Brewmate still in my cabinet? I want it gone. You know what I mean? It's clutter. Get it gone. So I need to just like, it's little things like that that I'm like, I need to just like, it's so easy to collect stuff over time. And then all of a sudden you're like, there's so much stuff in my space and I just need to get rid of it.
Yeah,
So
I do think that once
yeah.
a quarter is a good time to, like, purge things and take things to Goodwill, because, yeah, we do just collect so many things that you don't use, you don't need, and it is
Yeah.
just a source of anxiety to keep it laying around. But the
Yeah.
next part of this, we call it kind of like an admin reset, and we don't have to spend too much time on it. But this is going through and resetting more of the things that are, let's say, like on your computer or that pile of mail that's sitting there that like has tasks associated with the mail and you just like haven't done it, and your finances. And I know for me going into Q3, the financial reset is a big piece because we're getting married at the end of July and trying to figure out how we're merging finances and like we've had the conversations around conceptually how we want to merge finances, but we need to sit down and do it. Like we need to open the joint accounts. We need to figure out which credit card is going to be our joint credit card for spending. We need to just kind of like set up those systems. And it's a little bit messy right now because my townhouse hasn't sold yet. So he's paying for this house, I'm paying for that house, we're paying two utility bills right now. Like, so it's just, there's a lot of messiness that comes with finances right now. But yeah, going into Q3, that's a big priority to do that financial reset. But I do think that this is a good time, even if you're not in that sort of like messy middle phase. Just sit down and like look at your credit card statements and see what subscriptions you have. And if there's anything that you need to cancel, or if you're spending on a bunch of different credit cards, maybe try to consolidate that and be like, okay, no, I'm going to only spend on this credit card this quarter just to make things simpler. Like, what can you do to kind of like simplify that process and just make your life easier going into Q3.
Yeah, I think even taking how we were saying, taking a day or a weekend to just kind of like do some of that physical reset. I think if you can carve out a few hours to do, like, I love to make a list of all the life admin task things I need to do and then just like bang them out in one day. Like I drive a 2009 Toyota Camry. You guys know if you listen for a long time, I love my old car, but I don't have a backup camera. And so sometimes like when I'm driving in the city, I like cannot like I'm like parallel parking and I can do it, but it will take me like a few tries. And I got a backup camera that you can like insert instead of like the radio on your car. But I need to bring it to Best Buy to get a Geek Squad appointment to have them install it. And it's just like one of those like again, like tasks that I have to go and do that's just been like lingering and I need to just make the appointment for it. So I think if you can find a few hours in that physical reset time to just go and like bang out a lot of those. Okay, let me go get my blood work done and I'm going to go bring this to Goodwill and that's, the bag of clothes that's been sitting in the back of my car for a month. I'm going to bring that to the Goodwill. I'm going to do this appointment. I think like it's a good time, a good way to just like
And
reset.
put all of those things in your planner when you do it. I have been such a like shell of a version of myself this month because when I moved, I lost my planner. I like
Oh
can't
my
find it. I
gosh.
don't know if I threw it away or if it's still at the townhouse or I don't know where it is. And so I went to Target to look for a planner and they have like the July to June ones out right now.
Oh.
And it was the beginning of June. And I was like, okay, so I guess I just don't have a planner for the month of June. And I I don't know when anything is. I don't know. Grace is like, "Are we filming at 10?" I'm like, "Yeah, I wish I had that written down." No, like I knew when we were filming, but like that's something that I would miss because I just don't have a planner right now. So take a second to when you are scheduling all of these appointments, just put it down in your planner and look at the next 3 months and say, "Okay, what do I have coming up? What weekends am I busy? What weekends am I free?" I think that that's also a good use of like an hour of your time going into Q3.
Yeah, 100%. Okay. Next thing here in this like reset process is reflecting on your Q2. And I think this is like, I feel like it's one of those things that you don't necessarily have to carve out a bunch of time to do. I think by the time you get to the end of Q2, you're like, okay, like I know what went well, what didn't, but I think it's good. We talk a lot about doing a life audit and just really looking at your life from a lens of intentionality and being like, okay, if I look at all the domains of life, how do I feel in things like my finances, my career, my relationships and social life, health, spirituality, hobbies and recreation, mental and emotional health, and personal growth? Those are like all of the kind of domains of life. And I think just taking a second to reflect on where you feel like you may be lacking versus where you may be feeling really inspired and thinking about what you need. Like I said earlier, I think that my social life has been suffering a bit. Like I've just gotten frankly lazy about it and been like, like I'm not making an effort to go out and do things. And I was actually thinking about back to a year ago. I was like, I felt really like connected a year ago. Like what was going on a year ago? And I'm like, literally when I first moved here, like 3 to 4 times a week, I would pick up my friend at her apartment and then we would go to pickleball together. So I was seeing my one of my best friends multiple times a week. And then we were going to pickleball and I was interacting with all these people and being social and moving my body. And I'm like, well, no, duh, I felt more connected, Like, and a lot of us at that point too, a lot of the girls in our group were newer to the city. So we were like doing a lot more things. And I think I just kind of settled into my routine and wasn't making it as much of an effort. Um, but also like in terms of um just like the mental or like the health like realm, I've done a lot of reactive self-care and not a lot of proactive self-care. And I think that's been another thing that in Q2 I've realized I need to be better at. So it's like I started going to the chiropractor and that's been helping a lot actually with my like endo pain. But it's like doing that like not just because I'm hurting, but like to prevent hurting. Or yeah, I'm like moving my body not just because I feel like I haven't in a while, but because that's like part of my routine. So that's kind of been my like reflection on Q2.
Yeah, I really like the reflection time, and I agree that it doesn't need to be like this whole big thing. Like, we're not saying to go write a whole journal page about it. Just think a little bit about it. And this is something that I've been trying to do more frequently. Is just like reflect on how my weeks or even how my days are. Like when I'm laying in bed before bed, I'm asking myself, how would I grade today? Like if I'm looking
Mm.
at my day, like how what grade would I give it? Would I give it a 10 out of 10? Would I give it a 5 out of 10? And like why? And I do think a lot of times I'll get to the end of the day and I'll be like, okay, I would give today a 5 out of 10. Why? Okay, well, I slept in and then my morning routine like wasn't amazing. Like I need to be more intentional with my time for myself before I start my day and not just kind of like rushing through it and then like getting on my computer really quick. Or okay, work ended and then I literally just laid on the couch. Like I didn't go for a walk or I didn't see a friend or I didn't, and then that makes me think like what do I need to do to make tomorrow better? And I think that that's kind of a good practice. Even if you don't do it daily, maybe like at the end of the week, like what went well this week and what didn't go well this week. And I like the idea of kind of breaking it down into those domains of life and not even necessarily saying like, okay, give yourself a grade in every single domain and then every domain needs to be better next quarter, but it's just about recognizing like what domains am I putting more energy to and which ones are kind of lacking right now. And naturally, there's always going to be a little bit of imbalance, but it might make you realize that like you're not prioritizing enough domains of your life because you're literally just not doing anything. Like that's kind of how
Mhm.
I was like, okay, sleeping in and then watching TV after work and kind of just not really doing anything.
Mhm.
So I think that it's just a good like yeah, spend a little time on it, reflect on it when you can. But the next one is to choose a few focus areas for Q3 and set goals for them. I do think even though we're kind of talking about like oh, letting our New Year's goals slide and how they're not really that important. Like, I do think that some type of goal setting going into Q3 can be good. And back to what I was saying at the beginning of this episode where I'm struggling a little bit with Q3 because it's starting at a weird time. Like I'm not really necessarily ready to set concrete goals for like career and business and content because Q3 is starting July 1st and my wedding is July 31st. So I have a lot of planning to do and then I'll be having my wedding and it's just going to be a little bit messy for at least another month. But I still do think that you can set those intentions of like, what are the focus areas for this quarter? Like, I would say relationships are a big one for Q3 because my wedding and like because everyone's coming in for my wedding and I'm going to see all my friends and family. But then after that, like, it's time to start getting back into career mode. And I'm starting to get that itch of like, okay, I haven't really been focusing on it for the last couple of months. So what does that look like? And what are my career goals, even if I don't start acting on them until August?
I think like a good reminder for myself and for everyone listening is like, the whole purpose of this podcast, like being the life you love, is to live a life you actually enjoy, a happy, fulfilled life. And the purpose of doing these resets is to check in with yourself and be like, where do I feel fulfilled and where do I not? And like what am I maybe doing or not doing that's leading to a lack of fulfillment in a certain area or a lack of peace in a certain area? And choosing to focus on one area over another does not mean that like the other one is not important or anything, right? It's like, of course, your career is important and that's something that is, yeah, a focus for you. But like, you've also worked really hard at that to be able to be at a point where when something else is so fulfilling for you right now, like your relationship and your wedding and everything exciting that's coming up and your house and how fulfilling that's been, you have the freedom to say, like, I'm going to dive headfirst into that thing that's really fulfilling me right now and like bringing me a lot of joy because ultimately I want to live a life that I actually love. And I'm going to put something that's fulfilled me like slightly on a little bit of a back burner so that I can enjoy that fully. Like that's the point, is to end each quarter being like, wow, I'm so fulfilled. And you're not necessarily going to end every quarter being fulfilled in every single domain. And like, yeah, right now, like relationships and like the wedding and all of that gets to be your focus. And, you know, it's okay if like not everything is. That's the point, is to be fulfilled by our life at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's such a good point. I do think that sometimes we get a little bit too caught up in the like, okay, well, this quarter is going to be about this. And like, this is my one
Mhm.
main focus. So like, I really need to go heads down and like lock in. And there is a period and like time for that. If you have like a really big career goal or a really big launch that you're working on right now, okay, yeah, maybe the whole quarter is dedicated to that. But I don't think that's realistic for a lot of people. I think a lot of people listening to this probably are like, okay, well, I don't want to like roll out Q3 the whole quarter for my career, but like, I don't have a big goal that I'm going to start working on tomorrow at the beginning of the quarter. And I don't think it has to be that cut and dry.
No, and honestly too, I think because I've kind of strayed further away from like goal setting specifically, and I pick more focus areas because I find that it's just feels better to me. So it's like your whole focus area for Q3 could literally just be like, how can I have more fun in Q3? Like, how can I just inject more fun into my life? Or how can I see my friends more? Or how can I move my body more? And maybe it's like, not like oh, I'm going to try to go to the gym 5 times a week, but it's like maybe like twice a month, I'm trying like something totally new on ClassPass. I want to start getting into adult dance classes. I've always wanted to try it. And so I found a studio. I'm going to do it. And then there's like this acrobat gym in St. Pete where they have these little like things they can strap you into to be able to like lift you up so you can literally like be like almost like if anyone does like cheerleading, you're gonna die. I don't know what it's called, where the person has like the hands and then like their hands are up in the air and there's a person doing a handstand into their hands.
Yeah,
You know
yeah.
what I'm talking
Mhm.
about?
Yeah.
Whatever that's called. But you can like do that. Like you can try it. And like I'm like, what a fun way to like move your body. Again, it's like it's not like I'm moving for a specific goal of like, oh, I have to hit this weight or lift this weight or whatever it may be. Like it's just I just want to move more,
Wait, you
or
wanna know
like
how I've been moving my body more? Well, I did it one time. I mowed the grass the other day. Alex,
you're so crazy.
I'm so crazy. Alex hurt his foot. So he literally has like stitches in his foot. And he was like, I'm gonna go
Oh my
outside and mow the
gosh.
grass. And I was like, you literally have stitches in your foot. I was like, you ride the tractor and like teach me how to use the push mower because you just have to do like around the house with the push mower, and then he mows like the rest of the lawn with the big tractor. But he taught me how to do it, and it was the best workout ever. Like it was so hard because you like really had to push. It's kind of heavy.
Yeah.
So I woke up, I was like, my hamstrings, my back were sore the next day because I was sweating. I was like dripping in sweat. I was like, wait, this is the best workout ever.
That is so funny. I have been trying to decorate my space a little bit more because I've lived here for literally a year and a half, and like there was like no rugs. Like it was just like it was, yeah, I was like, we need to make the space feel cozier. And so on day 2 after, so I got strep the other week, so on top of everything else, and I was supposed to go on a work trip to Nashville that I was really looking forward to for the last like month, and unfortunately found out I had strep the day I was supposed to leave, so to cancel my flight. Yeah, it was really a lot going on in my life in Q2. But I on day 2 of my strep recovery, when I got a burst of energy, I thought this would be a fantastic time to try to put the rug under my bed. Mind you, I'm 5'3". I'm not incredibly strong, and I have a king size real wood bed frame with a king size mattress. Like, I don't know what planet I was living on. So I literally, it was a full fledged workout. I was sore the next day and I ended up pulling my back, and I only got the rug like 6 inches under the bed. Like it was actually so stupid. But I was sore from that. And then that opened my eyes. I was like, yeah, what else could I do that would feel like would be movement, but like not, injuring myself in the name of getting a rug under my bed. But I was like, there's a lot of different things I could do to just like move my body. I went for a walk before work with my friend the other day at like 7 a.m. It was great. I felt so accomplished by the end of the day, having known like I already moved my body today. So yeah, just like, I don't know, doing more stuff like that. I don't really know if I want to mow anyone's lawn in the Florida heat, but
No. Mm-mm.
yeah,
No, you can't mow other people's grass. Like half of the
no.
satisfaction is like, oh, my grass looks so good now. And I also landscaped that wasn't really a workout, but I like planted a bunch of flowers.
Oh my
So we're gonna
gosh.
see. I'm trying gardening. We're just
Wow.
trying our best over here.
You're spicing it up. Look at that is a good way to move your body though.
Yes. Okay. Let's get into just to kind of like wrap up this episode because we're getting to the end here. Just some like mindset and like things to remember. You talked about the first one at the beginning of this episode, just remembering that like some quarters are for planting, some are for harvesting, some are for resting. Not every quarter has to be your most productive quarter. You don't have to go into Q3 being like, I am going to make $1 million this quarter. It doesn't have to be that way. And if it is, that's amazing. Let us know on Spotify if this is like a super productive quarter for you because I
Yeah.
don't think either of us can relate to that.
No.
Um, and then it's just a reminder that what happened in the first half of the year doesn't define how the second half can go or what you're capable of accomplishing in the second half. And I think that this is a good one too, to just remember that like you don't have to wait to set new goals or like go after something new. You don't have to wait until January 1st. Like you don't have to wait until the beginning of Q3. You can do it halfway through June when Q2 is wrapping up. Like if you make it through the first month of Q3 and you still didn't accomplish what you wanted to, okay, you can start in the second month of Q3. Like it doesn't have to be these kind of like defined time periods, which is what I was talking about at the beginning of this episode of like the middle of Q3 is when fall starts. And I feel like that's typically the time period that I really get that burst of energy and like want to go back into a productivity state. But if that doesn't start right at the beginning of Q3, that's okay. And just kind of remembering that too.
Yeah, I think like it's been a good reminder for me, and so I'm sure it is for all the ambitious women that listen to this podcast. Just like not every quarter has to be a banger. Like you don't need to end every single chapter of your life being like, oh my gosh, yeah, I grew my business by 200% and I, hit all these health goals and I did this and that and what like it's okay. I think that sometimes and I know like I've stopped like scrolling on TikTok really because my FYP over there is so messed up. It is all these like videos about like content creation advice and like the best hacks and I don't know what I did because I used to watch like just hilarious like meme style like videos like that, and I don't know what happened. I don't know if
I
they updated
agree
it.
with
I don't
that.
know. They did
Mhm.
something to the algorithm over there outside of my control that now like the videos are not things it's like I don't want to constantly be consuming content about how I can like grow my business, and that's literally all the content that shows up on my For You page now. So I scroll on Reels if I'm scrolling or on YouTube Shorts actually. But it's like I think sometimes we see content like that where it's like this constant like optimizing of life, and I think we're even seeing it in the devices that were being sold now. Literally, my friend sent me a Twitter post the other day about a new smart sleep mask. Like, I sleep with a sleep mask to like black out my space. It's now like a smart mask that like can track data almost like an Aura ring, but in a mask that people can wear to bed, right? And it got me really thinking about how much our culture has shifted to this insane sometimes desire to optimize every single thing for the sake of growth and productivity. And while that's really beautiful that we're able to like get data about things and grow, and like we have more opportunity to grow businesses now than people did 50 years ago, and obviously these are all very beautiful things. However, it's like I think sometimes we fall into that optimization culture where we get so wrapped up in like, I need to be using every single second of my life to grow my business, improve my health, make more money, do this, do that, whatever. And it's like, no, I can actually just do something because it's fun, or because it makes me feel joy, or it gives me space to rest, or whatever it may be. And I think like, I just think it's a good reminder that not every quarter has to be this like massive, intense growth period. And it doesn't mean that, you know, it's a flop or it's not worthwhile. Like, it's okay to be like, yeah, Q2 was a lot and I just kind of want to have a few months to like slow the pace of my life down. And period. There's no, and we don't have to slow it down and then be like, how did my stress levels drop? And did my heart rate go down? What does my Aura rank say about my performance in Q3 now that I slowed down? Like, it can just be like, this is what I want to spend more time with my friends in Q3, and I want to live a slower pace of life. And period. End of sentence, Like,
No, I love that. Let us know on Spotify how you're feeling about Q2 and Q3 because I want to know if it's just us or whether it's just in the air and everybody's feeling this way. But yeah, I feel like Q2 and Q3, it's a weird time. I feel like I want to enjoy summer. I feel like I want to spend time with my friends and get outside and not be glued to my computer. So let us know on Spotify
yeah.
how you all are feeling. But with that, I think that brings us to the end of today's episode. If you have any questions for us, leave them in Spotify because we take all of your questions from these episodes and pull them into our monthly Q&A episodes, which I feel like you guys have been loving. There's always so many comments on our Q&A episodes. Like, that's where our ride or die people are. They're listening to the Q&As and they're like, they want the juice. So yeah, leave all of your questions in Spotify. But with that, thanks for tuning into the podcast, and until next week.